Welcome to my Sitecore Diaries. Today we are going to discuss about Sitecore domains, roles and users. Before starting, let me introduce myself. I'm Jitendra Ghanekar. I'm a Sitecore 10.NET certified developer. I'm working as a Sitecore architect consultant in Mumbai. So let's start. Let's see preview what we are going to see today in this video. We are going to talk about Sitecore domains, security roles, security users, what are the different security tools available in Sitecore, what are the different Sitecore access rights. So these are the points which we are going to discuss today in our video. So let's see first what are Sitecore domains. A Sitecore domain is a collection of security accounts, that is users and roles, that you can administer as a unit with the common rules and procedures. A domain is used to collect security accounts that have some logical relationship. So basically Sitecore domain is a collection of the users and the roles. Okay, users and roles are basically your security accounts. Okay, so it's a collection of those users. So you can apply some rules and procedure on that complete domain, which will be inherited with the users and role which are associated with that domain. Okay, so let's see what are the different domains we have in the default domain we have in the Sitecore. First is the extranet. So website security domain that contains the user account that corresponds to the visitors to the website, and this domain holds the website visitor roles that manage read access of the content. So extranet is the domain which is associated with your customer or your website users. Okay, so by default those website users are associated with the extranet domain, and that domain holds the website user roles that manages read access. Okay, so that extranet domains roles which are associated with that will have the read access of the content. The next domain is the Sitecore domain. Okay, so internal security domain that contains the Sitecore clients and the Sitecore client roles that correspond to the internal visitor to the CMS. So now you must have understood that Sitecore has a two kind of a users. One is a website user and another is your internal users or a CMS user. So for the visitor users, you will have a extranet domain. For the internal users, the users who log in into the Sitecore CMS will have the Sitecore domain. Okay, so those are users which will need the access to the Sitecore client, and the corresponding roles will go into the Sitecore domain. Now extranet domain is the default domain which we have in the Sitecore for the visitors, but ideally we should create the separate domain of as per your website. So you have a one instance and three different website lies on that instance, then you should create three application domains. Okay, like extranet we are having so if you're having three different website, you should create a three application domains. Then third is the default domain, and this is a virtual domain that only exists in memory. It doesn't exist physically, it is existing in the virtually in the memory. Sitecore is set up with extranet as a default domain. So at the time of setup, extranet domain is used, and the most user accounts will extranet / anonymous when they visit the website. So these are the three default domain: extranet, Sitecore, default. To manage this domains, we have a tool called domain manager tool. Domain manager tool can be used to add and update domain. Domain manager tool can be accessed from the Sitecore desktop. Now we will see default Sitecore roles. Sitecore comes with a series of predefined roles that you can use to manage user authorization on items and functionality. Sitecore by default provides few predefined roles. We will just run through few the all those roles. Okay, wherever required, I will give the explanation, but I will just run through all those roles. Okay, the first is the everyone. A virtual role that is not in the role database and is only used for assigning and resolving security. It mirrors the Windows Everyone group, and you can use it assign access right to every user or every user in the specific domain. It is available as a global role and local role in every domain. So all users are assigned to the everyone role. So if you want to give something which needs to provide to every user, then you should use everyone security role. So all users are assigned to this role, everyone role. It is not a physical role in the database. Okay. Then you have some analytics related roles, analytic advanced testing. It provides the additional tabs and controls in the marketing control panel application. Then you have analytics content profiling, which will give you the access to the content profiling functionality. Analytics maintaining it, which will give you access to the campaign creator marketing control panel application. Analytics management reporting, it gives the management reports for optimization efforts. Analytics personalization, create and edit the personalization rule. Analytics reporting, campaign creator, marketing control panel, and experience analytics application. So these are the few analytics roles which Sitecore provides. Let's go further. Analytic testing. So test lab in the marketing control panel application, the experience editor test functionality, and the content editor application. Members of this role can create, edit, and test variations. Basically, this analytics testing is more related to tester. Okay, so you can you can use a test lab in the marketing control panel application. The editor test functionality, expense editor test functionality you can use if it is assigned to if that this role is assigned. Then you have a three roles: author, design, and developers. Author, item editing features such as a media library and content editor application access is given to the author. A designer can design the application, so he will need a presentation tab access. A developer, the content editor even to allow a full development feature. So whatever features which are required for a development, that will be provided by the developer role. Then you have two exm related roles: exm advanced user and exm users. Exm advanced user is used give the full access to the all email experience manager functionality. Exm users, email experience manager basic functionality. Then you have a forms editor. Okay, so access to the Sitecore forms campaign creator and marketing control panel application. So this forms editor role will have the access of a Sitecore forms campaign creator and marketing panel applications. Then you have a list manager editors, access to the list manager application. Marketing automation editor, access to the marketing automation application to create, edit, and manage marketing automation campaign. Then we will have a client roles. Okay, so these are the client roles which are required for the CMS access. So first is the Sitecore client account managing. So as name suggests, it is for the managing the account. So access to maintain users roles domains in the access viewer, the domain manager, the role manager, and the user manager application. So we will see these tools at the end of this video: the access viewer, domain manager, role manager, and user manager. Basically those are the applications that are used for managing the roles, domain, and the users. So for that purpose you will need Sitecore client account managing. Then you have a Sitecore client advanced publishing, so publishing functionality in the experience editor and content editor application. Then you have a Sitecore client authoring, gives the basic authoring feature. Sitecore client bucket management, it is for the bucket management. Sitecore client configuration, the configure tab which you see in the content editor, that will have an access to this role, Sitecore client configuration. So, and it displays the appearance, insert option, and attribute groups. Let's move. A few more client roles: Sitecore client designing. Experience editor presentation tabs feature allows user to set a layout details associated with items in the Sitecore client. So it is more related to designing the page in the expense editor. That will require Sitecore client designing. Then you have Sitecore client developing, access to the application shortcuts, commands commonly required by the developers, more for the developers. Sitecore client maintaining, access to the template editing feature, reporting tool. Sitecore client publishing, access to the incremental publish, smart publish related items. Sitecore client securing access right to the security features in the content editor and other relevant application. Sitecore client translating Sitecore translation features. Then you have a Sitecore client users give the user minimum access to the Sitecore. If you observe all the client where you see a client, that is for your CMS activities. Okay, the authoring activities. So Sitecore client users has a minimal access to the Sitecore. Moving further, we have a Sitecore limited content editor. As name suggests, it is the access to the content editor, but the limited functionality. So access to the home, review, and publish tab on the content editor ribbon, and have no access to copy, move, or sort items in the right-click menu. Then you have Sitecore limited page editor. Again, it is restricted some functionality in the page editor. So restrict the amount of functionality in the experience editor application. Sitecore local administrator. Sitecore local administration can go log into the Sitecore and manage the security application, like including the assigning the security within that domain. So whatever the administrative task which is required, that can be done by Sitecore local administrator. Then you have a Sitecore minimal page editor. So this is the minimum, as name says, again it's a page editor minimum access. So restrict the experience editor functionality to the absolute minimum and prevent users who have been assigned to this role from accessing the experience editor ribbon. So these are the some of the Sitecore roles which is provided by the Sitecore. You do not need to hat all those, but you should understand that you can refer this whenever you are have to do some customization, or you have to do some adjustment of the access rights, or you have to create the roles. Then you can go through check what are the roles which can be assigned. So these are the default roles which are available. Let's say Sitecore users. So as we have in Sitecore roles, we have some default roles. Similarly, there are some default users Sitecore provides. Sitecore provides several default user accounts that you should not change. If you want to have a user with similar authority as one of the default user, then you should create a new user account rather than edit a default user account. Editing a default user account can affect the other areas of the security model. So basically, Sitecore provides some default user account which you should, ideally, which you, as a best practice, you should not be changing that users. Okay, if you want to create have similar kind of user, you should create that and assign corresponding rules. Okay, so let's see those default users. First is the admin. So a predefined administrator user. So everyone knows this user. Okay, when you install the Sitecore, then this user we will be using to log in. So that is the admin predefined administrator user. Then Sitecore domain and slash anonymous. So user who only has access to the login screen of the website. This is used for users who will go on to access the application framework section of the website. So this is a user, and a Sitecore domain slash anonymous user. It will have an access to the login screen of the website. Then you have a Sitecore domain slash service API. So it's a default impersonating user role used in the Sitecore service client. If you are using Sitecore service client, then this user is used. Extranet slash anonymous user. Okay, as extranet, so it must be on the website. So the user who is viewing the free access part of your website. So anonymous user is a user who access the public facing website and public facing pages, okay, which doesn't require login. That pages will be accessed by the extranet slash anonymous. Default slash anonymous, a user who is assigned to the unauthenticated visitor who is viewing a website that does not have any assigned domain. If a user is there and there is no domain is assigned to that, then that user is treated as an authenticated visitor, which will be treated as a default slash anonymous user. Creator slash owner, a virtual role that refers to the user specified in the item owner field. So it is an item owner field. Okay. So these are the few of the default Sitecore users. Let's move. Let's see Sitecore Security Tools. If you log into the desktop and you see the security tools, you will see these security tools: access viewer, domain manager, role manager, security editor, and user manager. So let's see one by one. Domain manager. Okay, it is used to manage the Sitecore website domain. Okay, so whatever we have seen what are the different domains, so to manage that, domain manager tool is used. Then role manager, so to manage your Sitecore roles, role manager tool is used. Then you have a user manager, it manages the user account. Then there are two important tools. First is the security editor. Security editor is basically the tool where you apply the permission on the item to the roles or users. So that is very important. If you want to define the role permission, you have to use the security editor. And how the effective permissions are viewed, that is viewed by the access viewer. So these are the 5 security tools. Let's see one by one. Just a preview of every tool. So first, it is domain manager. So it will look like something like this, where you will have a domain created. You can create a domain by clicking on a new domain. You can edit an existing domain, you can delete a domain, and then if you want to go to the role manager, you can go from here. User manager, you can go from here. Access viewer or security editor, and then there, if you want to serialize the users and roles, then these are the few serialization options available on the domain managers. This is how domain manager look. And also you have a search function here where you can search the domain. This is a role manager. It will have a predefined roles, and also the when you will add a new role, it will get added here. The first option is a new, which will create the new role. Delete will delete the role. Members, so now you can every role will have, it will show you what are the members it has, and the member of it will be like which member of role this role you are having. Then you have a, again you can navigate to the domains and user, access viewer and security editor from this options. Then you have a serialization options here. So this is how basically role manager looks like. You can search also. So this is the role manager. So very simple. If you will log in and see, you can understand easily that how these tools works. Then you have a user manager where you can manage your users. So it will have all the users which you have created in this tool. Okay, here you can create a new role also, and you can edit the new user. You will have a functionality of a change password. I'm not showing how it all this works. Okay, if you log in, you can simply see it. It's very simple. I'm just giving a preview of how tools are looking. Okay, so if you can change the password, you can generate a random password to change your password. Okay, disable enable, you can use disable and enable the user. If user is locked, then you can unlock by using this option here. Okay, so these are user manager users related functionality which is available, whereas you can go through the other tools from other option like role manager, domain manager, access your security editors, and this section is for the serializing your role to move from one place to one environment to another environment. This is your user manager. Then security editor, this is very important tool. Okay, this is a tool where you can define the access right of the on the of the user or a role, okay, on an item. So basically if you see here, there are a few options like read, write, rename, create, delete, administration. We will see what is this in the end of the video. Okay, but these are the options where you can select, and what is the option, what are the things which you can do here is it like keys are like inherited, where you do not select anything. If you selected this thing, the green one, that is allowed, then this is denied. Item versus descendant rights, protected and not applicable. So every you can select the account. So there are two type of account, one is the user, another is a role. So you can assign the permissions. These are the called as a permission. You can you can assign the permissions of a read, write, rename, create, delete to the item, or for on the item, to the roles or a users. Okay, so here like default anonymous is selected, home node is selected. If I click on the read, then that home node will, that anonymous user will have the home node access. So this is how it works. Okay, this is the security tool. And then if you go to the access viewer, it is basically shows what are the rights which you are having. So one role can have one user can have multiple roles. So what is the effective permission that is given, that is shown by here. So like now here, if you see everything, read is there. So all these items can be readable by default anonymous user, but it can't write anything, so it cannot edit anything. So this is why it cannot access it. That is called access denied. So this, you see the red cross, it means it has a access denied. So anonymous user, it will not be able to write to rename or create, delete, or do any administrative tasks on these items. So these are the security rules. Okay, we will see access right next. So let's see assigning access rights. So you have seen already that there are few options which is available to assigning the access right. So these are the default options which is available. Let's see one by one. Read. It controls whether a user can see an item in the content tree and or on the published website, including all the properties and the field access. When we talk about the assigning the access, it is not only in the content tree but also on the website. So assume that there is a page called contact us. Okay, there is an item called contact us. So when you are giving and read access to the contact us to some user or some role, so that role will have the access in the content tree. If it is an Sitecore domain role, then it will have an access in the content tree. If it is a extranet domain or a website domain, then it will have an access on the contact us item on the published website. Okay, so this is the read access. Then you have a write access, the control whether a user can edit the field. If you want to edit the field, then it should have the access to the write access to that item. The write access right requires the read access right, and so obviously if you have to write it, you should able to first read it. So it should have a read access right and field right and field write access right. So it means that whenever it's a contact us as a three field, then that three field should also have a field right access. Rename, the controls whether a user can change the name of the item. The rename access right requires a read access right. Create, a control whether a user can create a child item. So you have an item, you want to create a child item, then it should have a create within that item, it should have a create access. The create access right requires the read access right. So all those roles which are operating on the items, we should have the read access right. Delete, controls whether a user can delete an item. Okay, so every time you'll see it should have a read access, because if it doesn't have a read access, it will not able to see that item. So it will not able to perform write, rename, create, delete option, administration, anything you can do, it can't do if it doesn't have a read access. Then you have administrator, controls whether a user can configure the access right of an item. The administrator access right requires read and write access right. Then you have an inheritance, the controls whether the security rights can be passed from parent item to the child item. So if you want to pass the whatever access or a permission which is there on the parent items to the child item, then it should have a inheritance access right. Okay, so by default these are the access right which is given, but it is not these only the access right. Okay, if you right click the ribbon of the access right, you will get more access right. Okay, we will see those. So when you right click, you can see these many access right, you can add it if required. One is the first is a field right. It controls whether a user can use specific field on the item. So it is a field level write access. Then similarly, we have a field write access, which is field level write access. Then language read. So whether the user can use the specific language, then you have a language read. Similarly, you can have a language write. Controls whether a user can edit a specific language version. So if you want to edit the ENGL language version, then it should have a ENGL language read access and the write access. Show in insert, controls whether a template is shown in the content editor in the insert option list and in the expense editor in the insert dialog box. Okay, whether the template should be shown on the content editor insert option or not, that is defined by the show in insert. Then you have a workflow related access right, that is workflow state delete, workflow state write, workflow command execute. So workflow state delete is controls whether a user can delete items when they are in the specific workflow state. So whether user can delete the item within the specific workflow state, that will be defined by the workflow state delete. Okay, similarly is the right option whether you can update or not. Then command execute controls whether a user can execute a specific workflow command. Okay, then you have a customized profile key values. The user can customize the profile key values if he has this access. Create, then you have a bucket. You can create a bucket or revert a bucket. So controls whether a user can create an item bucket or control whether a user can revert an item bucket to a regular item. Then you have a field remote read. Controls whether the item web API access can access the field of an item. So if a web API access want to access any field, then you should have a field remote read. Then there is a star also and Sitecore also. I don't have a specific explanation for this. If you know it specifically about this, let me know in the comment. So these are the assigning access right. Few are the by default it shows on the screen, and these are the things which is added if required. Okay, just go to the ribbon, right click, and you can select which access right you want to select. Okay, so let's move to the next topic. Let's see how these access rights are assigned. Access rights on security accounts can be determined whether the user or role has the right to create item, delete item, or push item through a workflow. So each access right has one of the three possible settings. Okay, so let's see those three settings. Allow. So when you say allow, it's grant the associated access right for the selected account. It is allowed to that access right. Denies the associated access right to the selected account. And when you say inherit, neither a grant an access or denies an access. Instead, you can use this setting to allow or deny the item right to the inherit the access right that are assigned to the parent item. So basically, when you select the child item, you doesn't allow any deny, allow or doesn't even deny the access, then it means it will inherit the access from the parent item. So you can assign access right to both users and roles. So access right can be assigned to both users and roles. However, if you make your users member of the roles and assign the access right to that roles instead of the user, you simplify the maintenance. So it is the best practice to assign the role to the assign the access to the roles, not to the user. So if you want to provide any specific access to the user, you create a role and you associate that role to that user, so user will have the same access. So that is the best practice of the assigning the roles. Now let's see Sitecore role inheritance. This is also very important. Okay, so when you create the roles for your website, you should make sure that you will use the inheritance properly. So assume that uh, you have a role A. So role A will have a it has an access like read item A, read or write item B, and denied item C. Then you have a role B which has an access to read and write item to A, delete an item A, read item B, denied item B. Now these two are the different role, and you have created a third role, role C, and you inherited role A into the role C. You inherited role B into the role C. Now the effective the access what we will have for the role C. So you see, role A has an read item A, and also role B has a read and write item A. So both will combine here, and role C will have a read write item A. For here you have a delete item A, but there is no for role A there is no delete function. But delete item A will get role C. Then you have a read and write item B. So you have a read and write item B for role A, so that will comes here. Denied item C. So you have a denied item C, and here there is nothing. So denied will always get a precedence, and it will come here. We'll see the conflicting rule in the next topic, but this is a conflicting rule which is get a result as a denied will have a precedence over allows, so it will come here. Similarly, you have a read item D and denied item D. So this is how you should the role inheritance will work. Okay, generally. So you you can see the effective access on your security access viewers. Okay, so if, but this is how you should structure your users and roles. So you first identify the basic roles, you provide those access to the basic role, then you create a specific roles like different roles, and assign the users to those roles. So use the inheritance properly in there while managing your access and permissions. Let's see conflicting rules. First is denied and allowed. So between denied and allowed, it's always denied get precedence. Okay, so access right denied overrides allowed. Then you have a user and roles. In this case, user will get precedence. So security accounts access right assigned to a user account override access right assigned to the role. You have a specific item access, descendants and inheritance. Then the specific access will get always precedence over a descendant, whereas the descendants will get precedence where inheritance and always specific will have the highest precedence. So access right assigned specifically on an item override access right specified for the descendant on the parent item. Access rights assigned specifically on the item or on the descendants of an item override the inheritance access right. So these are the this is how it will work. So green part will always get a precedence over the white part. Okay, so if you have a row conflicting rule where you have a denied and allowed, denied will precedent. User and role, user will get precedence. Specific and inheritance or descendant specific item specific or access will get precedence. So this is how it will work. So let's see one by one. Denies overrules allowed. When an access right is not specified, it is a denied. If nothing is specified for the inheritance access right, inheritance is allowed. Access right assigned to a user account overrule the access right assigned to a role. Access right specifically assigned to an item for a user account overrule the access right that are specifically assigned to an item for a role that user is a member of. Specially assigned access rights to a user account overrule specially assigned access right to a role that is user is a member of. Access rights specially granted for an item to either a user or a role overrule the inheritance access rights and tiny right assigned to the descendant of the parent item. So these are the basically conflicting rules which if you found the conflicting rule in your setup, then this will get how this will get resolved. Okay, so main important thing is this one. So you need to remind need to understand this diagram where this is the diagram is for access right, secret accounts and item. Okay, so in the access rights, denied will get precedence. Denied will always override the allowed. User in security accounts, we have two security accounts, user and roles, where the user will get precedence. User access will get override the role access, and any item level access, it is the item level specific access will get override over a descendant or inheritance. Okay, so these are the conflicting rules which we are this is how the conflicting rules get resolved, and you can see the effective roles in the your access viewer. So we are done for today. If you have any question, you can reach to my Gmail ID g2sitecorecms@gmail.com. You can ping me on my LinkedIn ID. If you like the video, please click on a like button. Please share the video with your friends and comment on the video and provide the feedback. Please subscribe to the channel. Click on a bell icon to get a latest update. Thank you. Thanks for watching.